Good morning, Max.
Hey, Max.
Morning, guys. Did you enjoy your vacation, Barry?
What vacation?
He's been
You
on
were off
one.
Monday.
That was because I was sick. I would rather been here. Trust me, the way I felt.
He's still
And
on
I'm gonna
vacation.
tell you what, guys. If you're sick, I have the most wonderful wife in the world, but she's a nurse, and nurses are the worst when you're sick because she's dealing with people all day long that are sick and she's just like, get over it. So
Yeah.
if you want sympathy when you're sick, don't marry a nurse. They're good in other areas, but not when you're sick. Golly.
Max,
Yes, sir.
before we get to this Alabama Clemson game, why would Brent Key, offensive line coach at Alabama, leave? I had thought maybe there was a rub there some time ago. Do you know anything about it? Do you know why he would leave and go to Georgia Tech?
No, I don't. Of course, no, I don't. I'm sitting there trying to think of the connections back and forth, and obviously there's some kind of connection.
Well, obviously, he played at Georgia Tech.
He's a good
Okay,
recruiter.
well, that's what they're looking for, is that connection, and in particular, if you can recruit. Normally, you know what's happening now, guys, at that level. It's more important to recruit than it is to coach them on the field. If you get them there,
Right.
you overcome a lot of stuff. If you got top players, we've seen that. That's why Alabama Clemson's back in the championship game again.
Well, I think Butch Jones is enjoying that winning. I think he's got a cigar in his mouth. He's trying to hang on there at Alabama, I think. But
He's helping guys clean their office out, hoping maybe he can take it.
Here's my thought on Clemson. If they don't get to the quarterback, those big two wideouts against the inexperienced, I don't give a flip how good they coach Alabama's defensive backs. Those two big wideouts can catch a football, and they can go with it, and it's going to be big to at least administer some pressure to the quarterback in this particular game.
Well, you go back, Coach. That one of those kids played at Phoenix City last year.
Yeah, Ross.
I think they went down. Gemo came in and got
I did do that.
In the kid that Jamie Dubose told me 2 years ago, and this kid was like the number 2 or 3 wide receiver in the country. How he got out of Alabama, I don't know, but certainly he did, and that's right now it's become one of their favorite targets. So he's a big kid that can run. But I think you go back, and I'm just doing a morning show over here this morning. We just talked about that very thing. And I think Alabama's going to do the same thing. They're going to make Clemson play from behind if they can right off the bat, and they're going to try to put some pressure on Trevor Lawrence and try to see if he can throw it on the run. And I think they'll also give him some looks they've not seen before. So Alabama wins. The line, by the way, I think dropped. I thought we had a guy on yesterday that's pretty connected.
5.5.
The line dropped to 5.5. So that's a bunch of Clemson folks want to take advantage of that, I guess.
Max, when Brent Venables, when you're going through the year, you watch teams play, but you have no idea why all these guys are running open, why Tua is so successful. But when he gets to really sit down, which I'm sure he's done by now, and really break down this film and how to defend this guy, because I think they played pretty well against Alabama defensively last year. Jalen Hurts really did not play very well. They defended him well. They just couldn't score. What is he going to find out? I'm not, all these people say, hey, I think this, that, these guys know when they start watching the film and figuring out why this offense is so good. What is he going to see, and how is he going to game plan to try to stop some of these weapons?
I think the first thing they're going to try to do, I think they're going to play loose zone in the secondary to try to keep them from going 50 yards on the first snap or two. Then I think they're going to settle down. Again, Alabama's best shot is to make a play from behind. Coach Saban loves that philosophy. He's done it. He's been ultra successful doing that. And I think that's what Clemson's going to look at. They're going to try to get to Tua. They're going to try to flush him out of the pocket. But the other side of that, Clemson's missing that big defensive tackle in the inside. I'd like to think they're going to try to run the football. We know Jacobs can run it. We know the 2 Harris guys can run it. How they mix that in. And then, of course, the play action off of that, I think, plays a major role with a wide receiver. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting. To me, it's 2 things. the Alabama cannot have mental mistakes like they did against Oklahoma. They got to play a much more conservative ball game as far as mistakes are concerned. And I think the return game is going to play a big role. You know, if the kicking game is excellent, they make, you know, if they can keep Clemson backed up and make them have to drive 80 or 90 yards for a touchdown and make Clemson eat the clock, then I think Alabama, you know, comes away with the win. I'm not real sure that 5.5 is probably a pretty good line. I think Alabama wins. I've said a touchdown, but they can't, you know, they don't need to wait to the fourth quarter. They have to come from behind to win it like they have before.
There wasn't a lot of hoopty-la about Hurts when this last game was over with. He didn't even see him. Based on that, is this going to be a touchy deal for him to stay at Alabama? I don't think the reports are fake news that he's lined up in graduate school. I don't think he has. I think he's just applied. If things are real quiet for him again, where he's not getting any time, is he gone?
I would. All we can do, Coach, is put ourselves in that situation. You know, he's accomplished almost everything that from a quarterback situation at Alabama. Won a national championship, played them, got them there. You know, played very well. Had an injury situation, got replaced. We understand all the things, and we know what we see on the surface. We really don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I really do believe Coach Saban will have his best interest at heart. He'll recommend, if you want to go somewhere, here are some schools I would recommend you go to or take a shot at. If you want to stay here, then we'll give you every opportunity to play. I think that will be and I think, you know, Jalen Hurts will have to make that decision, or he and his family will.
Don't you
think,
he's
got
Max,
two young guys.
Yeah, don't you think though? Yeah, don't you think both of you guys? I want to ask both of you guys. He's got all these weapons here, and people think right now that he's become a better passer this year.
Yep.
So people said, you know what, this guy's throwing the ball better. He's got great personnel around him. If you go somewhere, you're not going to have this personnel. And if you go somewhere and you're the starter the whole time, then the NFL can pick your game apart. Right now, they're not sure. It's like these guys drafting in basketball, taking these freshmen. They take them on potential. Well, right now, they say, you know what, this guy's improved. Where if he just stays here, develops some more, doesn't put a lot of stuff on film. And I think that helps his draft status better than going somewhere where he doesn't have near as much talent and he's not throwing the ball near as well because the receivers and all are not as good. I think it may be a better option as far as his NFL career is just to stay here and maybe let it be unknown as to how much this kid's improved. Is there any validity to that?
Yeah, I don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't see any problem with that. But we don't know about, you know, how about the inside? What does he really want? You know, and I agree with you, Barry. He's certainly improved his passing game against Georgia. We saw that. Hit the out the route down there and got him down the inside and threw the touchdown inside and won the ball game. He's done what he had to do for Alabama. But you're right. He's not going to go many other places. He's got the talent from the offensive front to the running game that can back him up. So it will come down to what I hate to say this, but I think between he and Coach Saban, what they decide for him to do. I think Coach Saban will play a major role in the recommendation for him.
Yeah,
Max, I think people don't realize what a job that Nick Saban does, and I want to solidify it by saying this: Kirby Smart had a hard time getting his guys to play. He had a hard time getting them ready and coaching is being able to get your guys to play after you win and after you lose. And after you win, they think they're too good. And after you lose, they don't want to play because they're mad because they lost. And that's a hard job that John Q. Fan doesn't understand. And
no, I agree 100%. And I think, and I've tried to get in and talk to Pete and other guys that have been around that program a lot. And I've learned some things that they do that unlike any other, their offensive, defensive line coaches, for example, have their guys look at their opposition and break it down for them and make a presentation to the staff and make a presentation individually to the team about. I mean, they get that intense on preparation, particularly for a game like this when they've got the time other than just 4 days to work. Those are the kind of things I think it's almost, I don't say it's unheard of, but the fact is that they keep those guys so in tune with what goes on day by day that, that it's almost like, I want to say they embarrass them to the point where they know they got to play, or they sit that middle edge where those kids know almost everything the opponent's going to do, and they sit out there and perform. But you're right, that is the most unusual aspect about an Alabama team is the consistency. That's why I personally was a little disappointed in the middle of the states that they made against Oklahoma. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Oklahoma. I thought they prepared well and all. But when you got one guy, when the Wills kid made, 3 consecutive mistakes, I thought Coach Saban was going to have a stroke on the sideline because he'd never seen that kid make those kind of mistakes before. So I think that in the preparation is where Alabama once again, and I think they come out, I think they play action, throw it right off the bat. I think they try to go up, 7 or 14 points and make Clemson play from behind.
Yeah, I'm sure other teams do this, but I think one of the smartest things Coach does is he has that group of players that he meets with weekly. I don't even know what he calls it, to find the pulse of the team. I had my little team I got, we're 12-1. I had one of the players come in and say, Coach, you're just so negative all the time. I'm not having any fun right now. And I said, well, the problem is when you're winning, you're 12, when you're 12-1, usually when you're winning is when the coaches is the hardest on you. When you're losing, sometimes you try to pick them up. Say, stop winning so much. But I think listening to the players, ones that you can trust, that will tell you the truth, not to try to get out of something. Hey, we're tired. We need a day off. Hey, we need more positive here, this, that, the other. I think that's critical to any organization or to any team. And I hear Coach talk about it, and he's got some really, really responsible, intelligent young men over there. I think that's a huge factor in how successful these guys are.
But that goes back to the recruiting, the way the recruiting process goes. They pick those kids out that can respond that way. They unlike a lot of. They don't just. Every 5-star player out there is not going to go to Alabama because he doesn't fit what they want. They have a system and what they call the process. We all heard about that, but it goes way more than the physical part. It goes, to the personality. Can they take discipline? Can they take correction? Can they be, are they a team player? How do they respond to losses? All those things that I've read, and I'm going to say I'm a Kevin Elko guy. I've read every book he's got.
Well, that must be a good book, yeah.
They use there is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Max, this thing's going to stay the way it is. We got a bad Pac-12. We got Washington and the rest of them. We got a very, very bad ACC. We've got Clemson, and then we got the best team is Virginia, second best. They've lost Miami, they've lost Florida State, winning wise. This thing 2 out of 5 can't play,
right?
And a little bit, the SEC is good. It maybe not quite as good all the way to the bottom. It's a kind of a scary thing where Alabama's going to continue to do what they're going to do.
Well, you know what, and I don't know where you kind of lead to maybe expansion to get a little more involved nationally. But guys, if they had 8 teams or 16 teams, it'd still be Alabama and Clemson right now.
Yeah.
They are the best 2 football teams in the country just because of talent and coaching. And what's ironic about that? Both teams got there on different paths, the way they built the program. Coach Saban is a hard disciplinarian, and he recruits well and all that. Dabo's a big old boy that loves the family affair, and he works
Chicken
on personalities and that kind of stuff. So there are more than one way to get there, but I agree. I look now the inconsistency at Ohio State. They got some talent, but and they exhibited this past weekend in the Rose Bowl, but they didn't do it every week. And I think therein lies where the 2 teams at the top, even though Clemson, they had a couple of scares. The Texas A&M game at the beginning of the season, win by 2. They struggled against Syracuse, but they won. That was the bottom line. So, how you get more and better teams out there to play, I don't know. I don't. My answer is do a better job recruiting and a better job coaching. And you can get there.
Yeah. All right, Max, what's for supper, buddy?
Man, I just, I'm still eating leftovers from my New Year's Day. Well, I cooked a big old black-eyed pea, and I had onions and tomatoes and all that. Was rather just a bowl of black-eyed peas. It was kind of like a stew, black-eyed pea stew. And, of course, I had collard greens on the side as well, like jalapeno cornbread. On my meat, I found some big, meaty pork ribs. I'm not talking about the little short ribs. I did the big ones. I had a lot of pork on those as well. I always use a cornbread when I have vegetables like that. Had a big old pitcher of sweet iced tea. And for dessert, the guys I cook for on New Year's, they love key lime pie. They like that sweet key lime pie to go with that, and that's what we had. I fixed 2 key lime pies to go with it. I think it was 9 people we had, and they got the New Year started off right, and I still eat leftovers from it.
Mm. All right, Max. Well, we'll talk to you Monday, so I won't get your score prediction yet, but I'll get one from you on Monday.
I'm going with Alabama to win it. I'm working on the score right now, how that's going to work out.
All right.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good weekend.
Thank you.